I am extremely grateful to Jerry and Esther, although I guess I need to tell Esther later, Abraham, for bringing this message and opening this vortex to this information.
We're all in this together, and you know, they feel that way about you. Jerry and Esther bumped into some new friends last evening. And when they got back to the room, Esther said, you know, they're just thanking us all over the place for the benefit that we are to them. And they have no idea of the benefit that they are to us. In other words, this appreciation is felt all the way around. In other words, the power and clarity of what you are about and the summoning quality that you are about makes all of this go round. In other words, we really are all in this together. It is mutual appreciation. Yes.
Again, I'm extremely grateful. Thank you.
We are extremely grateful. Your turn.
I do see enormous benefit in the ideas and the thoughts that you're bringing forth. Earlier, someone was talking about politics. Well, I kind of want to talk about economics. And
they're the same subject.
Okay. I understand. I see enormous benefit in changing the focus of organizations. They're extremely focused on profits, getting more done, becoming efficient to the point of, segments of their own organization going out of business, having to lay people off. And at certain times in my life, I have intuitive ideas that just come to me. And this was one that came to me a few weeks ago, that really the companies and the organizations of the world are just too focused on profit, and it is really a contraction instead of an expansion.
When you think in terms of law of attraction, and you realize that everything is about inclusion, there's no exclusion. This is an attraction-based universe. And then you think about the selfish nature of all consciousness. In other words, every point of consciousness, whether it's the one-celled amoeba in the ocean or a cell in your body or you as a full-blown consciousness of this physical apparatus, when you have exposure to experience that causes you to desire, that desire is asking and source is answering. So the selfish nature, which is a very good thing, of all of these different perspectives, this desire that pulses within you is what summons source and is what is at the heart of all economy. Think about what economics is anyway. Try to think back a few hundred years when people were exchanging beads and shiny objects, and what has happened to expand the economy? Has stuff been trucked in from other planets? Do you have pipelines of resources? Or has human desire expanded and made you better reapers or better honers or better sifters, better discoverers of this expanded wealth? So when you look at the heart of economy in general, you have to understand that it is individual desires that make it go. And when you look at the basis of every company, large or small, at the heart of it are individuals with individual desires. So all of those people who desire to be creators or who desire to have things, it doesn't matter how consciously aware of deliberate creating they are, when they want life improvements, then companies literally become and acquiesce and formulate in order to satisfy those desires. In other words, when you ask, it is really always given. That's what we mean when we play back with you in your political jargon about everything is really a grassroots situation, because trillions, billions of requests are granted constantly. So all organizations are, or companies are more organized structures through which the wealth flows. And if owners of these corporations or managers of them do not have a keen and personal sense in the profit nature of it, then there can be no ongoing organization that fulfills all of the needs of all of the desires of those who are participating. And so when someone who is maybe one of those receivers of some of the goods through an organization looks to the leader or the owner and condemns them for their actions, all they do is make themselves personally now out of alignment with the good that would have flowed to them through the organization. It's like Esther watching television and disapproving of the commercials, the medical commercials, and saying, Abraham, don't they know that they're just perpetuating illness? Disapproving of the hospital system or the medical system, and then us explaining to her that these medical systems have become to meet the needs of the masses whose beliefs are where they are. So everything that your society has become, and in this example, a society of organizations, some large and some small, all of it is in answer to the grassroots requests of the masses. And it all has to be understood that it is in order, you see.
Okay.
So then you say, well, aren't there ways for it to be better? And we say yes. And those like you and millions others who are having personal experiences are launching rockets of requests every single day. And so future businesses and future governments and future religions, future societies are all in the processes of becoming because of things that you are asking for. But how you benefit right now is by standing back and taking a broader stance and not condemning what is, which holds you out of alignment with reaping the benefit that could be there right now for you. Esther said one day, they were having built some wooden walkways. When it rains in Texas, it really rains, and they were wanting to get up out of the mud. And so what they couldn't pave, they built wooden walkways, and it took a lot of dollars and a lot of man hours to build these little wooden paths around their home. And it was a very hot summer day, and Esther was sitting inside drinking something very cool, and she looked out and saw the workers who were out there in the sunshine and in the heat building these walkways. And she felt guilty. Guilty that her desire was causing them to have that experience in comparison with the experience that she was having. So she went outside and apologized to them. And two of them stood up and looked her squarely in the eye and said, hey man, we appreciate the work. And it sort of startled Esther. In other words, she had forgotten that her desire had set into motion something that was a perfect match to what they believed would give them what they needed to satisfy the desires that they held. In other words, Esther doesn't get to decide what's good for anybody but Esther, you see. And her trying to take responsibility for what's happening to anybody other than Esther gets her out of balance every single time. You sort of want to step back and just trust that many askers that are being answered, that the universe is figuring out ways to give every single one of you every single thing you've ever asked for in the way and to the degree that you are willing to allow your good to flow. It has always been that way, and it always will be that way. And you're not ever going to be able to orchestrate some form of government or some form of economy that's going to make somebody who's not ready to allow it get something that they're not ready to allow. And in like manner, you will never be able to deprive somebody of something that they want and deserve either.
Okay.
It's all exactly right. Doesn't that feel good? It's exactly right and improving every century or two. No, every moment. Every moment.
Do our wants and desires take on a momentum of their own? Like, for example, without stopping to think about certain aspects of my life, it feels like they go along fine, and I don't put any effort or thought into them whatsoever.
That's because you've been putting effort and thought into them maybe without even knowing that you're doing it.
How do I do that? Because what I'd like Abraham, is I'd like to have that be available in all areas of my life.
It is. It works like this. Every time you have any kind of a contrasting experience where a preference is exuding from you, source energy captures the essence of that desire and holds it in escrow and figures out how to dovetail it with every other thing you've ever wanted to.
Okay.
That's why sometimes people will say you need to be careful what you wish for because you're going to get it. And we like to say everything that you've ever wanted, even if you can't put it into words, Source knows it and remembers it and organizes it and lines it up for you. But that's the reason that we were asking you the earlier question. Is it all right for good stuff to happen to you without you being the one who physically bangs it into place? In other words, can you try to find some way of saying, oh, I get it. Things are supposed to work out all right for me, and maybe I can just relax and expect things to work out more for me because that was the legacy that was set into motion even before I got here.
Well, right there, even before I got here, because there are areas in my life, it's like I don't think about my health. I just know I have abundance of health.
That's the perfect state of being.
Okay, because, I mean, in the sense of abundance for my health, I don't think about my blood flowing. I don't think about my hair growing. I don't think about my fingernails growing. It just happens, and it feels like it's an abundance for me. And that had to have come before I got here or very early in my life. What other things have come here early in my life that I'm, not opening that up or allowing them to be in?
Well, what you're talking about, again, back to our first topic of oneness, think about all of those even who have preceded you as human beings or other species on this planet, who have had physical experience that has caused them to prefer or desire, who have begun summoning source energy, who have created this momentum before you ever got here. Consider that.
Okay.
Then consider all that you have ever been through all of your life experiences and all of the momentum that you've set forth on your own behalf. Consider that. Then consider you in this physical body having your personal experiences and now re-articulating your specific desires. Consider that. In other words, huge streams of well-being pre-paved for you. In other words, it's no wonder that your life is magnificent. It's the way it is supposed to be. And to the degree you come into alignment and you say, but of course, I'm supposed to feel good. I am known as good. I'm supposed to thrive. It is my legacy. Then you get all of that pesky resistance out of the way, and then you can get on with the really fun details of being the deliberate creator you are. Then is when you really begin as you intended, as you came forth into this physical experience.
Okay.
You didn't come to conquer anything or to save anybody or to fix anything that is broken because you didn't see it as broken. You just dovetailed in seamlessly to the momentum that had already been established even before you got here, of which you were a big part. And now you say, now I'm in the stream, I'm in my canoe, now I'll just point it into pleasurable places. People get into that canoe and turn it upstream and work really hard.
Paddle harder and harder and harder.
And then they want marks on the chart for how much they've suffered for their meager progress.
Not just in their paddles.
And we say, turn it around and go with the stream. And they say, well, will there be any reward in that? It doesn't seem to me there's enough suffering for there to be any real reward in that.
So relaxing, and then that just brings you back into that momentum that's already been started, prepaid for you. I think about many, many years ago, traveling when I was just a kid, down in this very area of the Smoky Mountains and where we live down the road in Franklin and here in Asheville. And I remember thinking to myself, I'd love to live here someday. But that was that. I didn't put any more effort into it until suddenly I found myself with this opportunity to move to this area. So are those desires then set?
It's hard for people to hear how a little bit of appreciation will make it happen. Yeah. Because, you see, your surprise is, that was that, you say. I paid no price. And we say, there was never any price to pay. And it turns out all that price paying just adds up to resistance that slows stuff down. And then when you find a little pocket where you're less resistance, you say, it's a miracle. And we say, really? It wasn't a miracle. You're supposed to thrive.
Mm-hmm.